Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And appreciate for you being here. I appreciate that you here on time. And please let me know whether you see my screen. We're about to start. Perfect. If you can hear me, please type plus in the chat. Perfect. And if you now participate in any questionnaire during the webinar, please type minus 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 so I understand who we're dealing with today. Today, apologize. My name is Eugene Tesla, and I am Chief Technology Officer of BIGB. We are an international company. Today, we'll cover the 4 topics about the business analytics. It's business owner's dashboard, how financial control works, HR analytics, and control in the marketing campaign. These 4 topics have been selected in the form where we're gonna go over today's webinar is I will demonstrate already turnkey solution created by our company. The all 4 solutions that will be going through today available to purchase from our company. If you are interested in anything that you'd like on the screen, please reach out. We'll discuss. Please take a look at the today's demonstration from the point of view. If you purchase the solution, that's you will be able to implement every analytics that we'll cover today in your company in a matter of days. I'll go over during the presentation the difference between the turnkey solution and the project, but do take a look at from the point of view whether it's applicable for your business needs. That being said, thank you so much for the answering in chat. That being said, I'd like to ask you to type the following. If you are new to Power BI and your company is not using Power BI at all, please type 1 in the chat. And if you're experienced with Power BI already using analytics in your company, please type 2. If you're not sure what to type, in case where you're proficient with Power BI, you know in using it, but your company is not implemented it yet, in that particular rare case, I ask you to type 3 in the chat. Since you're here today, I assume that one of the 4 topics on the screen is created interest for you. Or maybe perhaps you're just curious about the Power BI altogether. However, if anything particular on the screen piques your more interest, please, for instance, if you'd like business owner's dashboard, please type S1, S2 for the financial analytics, S3 for HR, and S4 for the control efficiency and marketing. And with that, we'll continue. I'll assume everybody who wants to be here already joined us, and if they join later, they will have to catch on. If you like more than one solution and it's hard for you to choose, yes, you're allowed to enter the multiple choices. With that being said, I'll show you the short video about one of our existing clients' excitement after the implementation of the Power BI. It's loyalty card integrator. So they providing the tracking the loyalty bonuses for their clients being retail and restaurants. So you understand that they're dealing with a lot of data, the data that belongs to their clients. So the tracking data, dealing with a lot of data, dealing it in a fast, secure fashion is very important for them. And here, what they got to say about.
Maxi is a butterfly. I'm kidding. First of all, Maxi is a loyalty program, an expert in.
You hear the voiceover, right? Can you hear the Thank you.
And loyalty. That Moxie is a butterfly. I'm kidding. First of all, Moxie is a loyalty program, an expert in loyalty. That is why we need quality business analytics. However, as I mentioned before, expensive and complex solutions for a startup company as ours is not quite suitable. That is why, for me, Microsoft Power BI solution was a perfect match. This solution was ideal for us for its price, for the speed of integration, and for providing solutions for our specific business needs. The client reached out to us. They have a complex business task at hand. We spent quite a bit of time learning their business model, understanding their data, and as a result, we advised to implement BI solution because it could deliver quick response time and an elegant presentation. Power BI is one of those solutions that once integrated, you could literally see results from a financial point of view. For those tasks that used to require a few weeks at a time can now be solved in a matter of hours. It was quick, it was effective, and the client got results in a very short period of time. They saw what they were investing their efforts and resources in. In just 1 week, I was able to see reports that we could never generate before. And now I could see everything. I can see the average check. I see the point of sales. I can take a look at one day at a time, 1 hour, time of transaction, what was in that transaction, what this card had before, and why buying patterns has changed. I can easily create a report of client behavior. For me right now, it is more than enough. But the most important advantage of BI is the ability to make a quick business decision. That is why Power BI allows you to quickly monitor all changes, specifically online in real time. When I meet our business partners and can show real-time reports with the most current data, it allows me to get to the lowest level of analytics. For instance, you can see transactions for each card or transactions by the store for a specific criteria. It is very cool. And when during the meetings I'm being asked, oh, can I see this? And I can answer, yes, sure you can. Here's my tablet. I press a couple of buttons and a new beautiful report is being generated. It's really cool. It's popular. It is positioning us as an innovative company. I really like it.
As you see, if you like Power BI's features, you're not alone. It is really cool. All right, why I'm excited about Power BI? Again, I'm Chief Technology Officer of the BIGB. BIGB company is a silver Microsoft partner. We've been dealing with business analytics since 2016. We primarily specialize in the Power BI as a Microsoft product. Therefore, for the years of the experience, we've learned the right to say that we know about the Power BI everything. We maintain our skill set among our teams by continually educating ourselves about the Power BI features. As you know, the Power BI is an evolving tool. Microsoft put a lot of effort and resources in improvement and of the existing feature of Power BI and adding more and new. That is why a couple of years ago, Microsoft Power BI in the world of analytics become a leader, suppressing the competitors as Tableau and everybody else, and maintaining the leading position in business analytics. Therefore, I'm excited about the Power BI and share the excitement with everybody else. Our company offers the following services. Obviously, the projects implementation is our core business. By project implementation, I mean either turnkey solution as a solution that we're gonna go over today, 4 of our best sellers. Also, individual and custom implementation of Power BI analytics for any scale of businesses, in regardless of which division you decided to add analytics as a start. So The difference, of course, in the number of implementation, the amount of effort needs to be put in on a project. Therefore, often businesses start with the turnkey ready solutions. Implementing analytics, it allows them cut a lot of time. Obviously the budget is lower, and they'll be able to start using the analytics and the power of the Microsoft Power BI analytics behind it in a matter of days. I'd like to point it out that if you choose to start with the ready solution, so-called out of the box, it doesn't mean that you lock in. Obviously, in the beginning, you'll start only with the features available out of the box, but it doesn't mean that it's either or. You can always later on improve and build on the top of the existing solution, whether with your analytics team or with our help. So starting with a turnkey solution, it doesn't mean that it's the throwaway budget. It's the quick, efficient starting point, which can be built upon on the top of it going forward. After the project implementation, we offer the post-project support. Our support team will be able to answer all your questions, whether it's a business question from the business end user or from the technical team if you have your own team of analytics. And I'd like to point it out that obviously we'll support post-project implementation of support for our project that we've implemented by our company, but it doesn't have to be. If your business needs to be able to reach out to the experienced team of analytics, and you'd like to be able to include us as your support team for the project that either been developed your internal team or the third-party vendors, we embrace that as well. We'll be able to provide support. The process, how it will work, we'll analyze what you already have. Chances are we'll be able to provide, and it's a good chance that we'll be able to improve the performance of the model of your existing report, and we'll be able to support going forward your existing reports. Whether it's just support that the existing reports work, or if need to be expanded and creating the new reports, we have that model for the support as well. I mentioned that you may or may not have your own team of analytics. Your team of analytics may or may not be familiar or have the different experience of familiarity with the Power BI. Hence, over years, we evolve from the project offering, the post-project support. We have created a set of courses by training the analytical team of our clients, and what actually evolved and grew into the training solution. We call it training center, where we offer the trainee either build your analytical team, educate your existing analytics to the full extent of feature of Power BI, or continuous education on all the added feature and updates that Microsoft enroll to Power BI as a tool. There are two types of training. We once in a while we run the course that open for public and where everybody can sign up from different teams. All company often to choose to embrace into the corporate training, where we teach your team of analytics often on your data and ability to adjust the course to address your business needs is also an option. And the licensing, of course, you do need license in order for your business to be able to fully use the Power BI cloud services, sharing the team reports among the team, shared models, so the team of analytics can work together on the same data sets. For that, you need a license. And the license, it's not only we 7 licenses from Microsoft, but when we say licensing solution, we advise businesses on which license is more suitable for particular business needs. The purpose of the product, and this slide, by product we mean at the same time we mean the Microsoft Power BI as the tool, as the analytical solution, as well as the turnkey solution that four of which we will take a look over. Basically, they built on using Power BI engine behind the scene. What the product solves? Power BI provides the ability to pull all the data under the one roof, meaning to say that, granted, you may have different systems where your data is scattered over the several databases. Sometimes it's the home written applications. Data may resides in the file system, Excel, CSV, or JSON and extraction. Power BI can connect to all of those the data sources, pull the data under one roof, clean the data in a sense that utilize unique and unified data points, and that in itself will be able to give the business complete picture, complete integrated overview of the financial sales transactions and etc. Connecting to the different sources, part of the thing. Safety, securing the data is a growing concern. Even though your data will be stored in so-called cloud, it is Microsoft cloud protected securely, but Microsoft algorithm, and most of the time the cloud access to the data will be more secure than your day-to-day operations. However, the opportunity to not be able to throw the data in the cloud and have cloud with so-called hybrid solution, right? When it is a cloud, but it's exists only on your server within your business perimeter, it's also an option. The different licensing may apply. Visibility of information. It's a visualization of the information, right? So often, which is the myth, or not the myth, but misdirection, right? Power BI is considered as just the tool of visualization. It's not true. Yes, the visualization is the one of the main feature, and it's obvious feature because it's you can see it right away that the data can be presented in a visual format. But Power BI is more than just visualization. It is analytical and tool which allow you not only run the analytics and reporting, of course, but also create the the word I'm looking for is the projection, right? So you can play with the filter that project what to be expected if certain parameter may change. So it's more than the visualization. However, visualization is very attractive and a huge selling point. What business owner or the top management gets with implementing Power BI is the freeing time of your analytics to do the analytics, not just gathering the data. You have instant access to the reports in real time. Third point on the second half, right? Reporting without the help of analytics, meaning to say that once the model is built and all the data is available in the data set that Power BI is connected to, you will be able literally create your own reports because using the visualization tool, the features of the user interface that Power BI provides, you'll be able to slice and dice, and it's not only filtering. You actually will be able to create your own report, look at the data in your own fashion, using just the user interface without need to ask for the creation of the report of your technical team. Next slide, go over the same benefits in more details. I'm not going to go over it. You'll get the slide presentation in email. You'll be able to dive in slide yourself. The data centralization is a source of business insight. that correlates with the popular terms of cut-through analytics. You need to understand, in order to see the complete picture of your business, business owner or the top management requires to be able to correlate all the data reporting that exists in all individual department. Unless the data all interconnected and correlated, you will not be able to say the amount of budget spent on the marketing, how does it correlate into sales, or how to adjust your logistics to address the any changes into the selling pattern of your market. And I say any changes, sometimes whether it's lower sales or spike in the sales, sometimes the increase of the sales may create the challenge on the business side to support those sales as well, or to be able to data sources under one roof, interconnect all the data that you will be able to see the correlation of the money spent on the marketing, how it come out on the sales, which segment to spend more money in because it's more profitable, or which segment to terminate spending more budget because it doesn't generate the relevant traffic. All that you'll be able to see once the report connect to the all data sources and the data gathered under the same database, the same roof. In addition of that, you need to understand that I'd like to point it out that once the report is created, we're talking about the same report is seen for the top manager and for each individual department. Granted, because of the ability to assign the role and access level to particular user, particular ID, everybody will see only the data they're allowed to, right? Your logistics, for instance, will see only the logistics data, and if needs to be their percentage of company sales. But it's all connected to the same data sources, therefore there is no discrepancy. And since all the connectivity is automated, also acquired benefit is the cutting out of the human error, right? So the data no longer is massaged by hand, therefore ability to make a human error eliminated at all. With that being said, let's move on to the solution, and we'll start with the business owner's dashboard. For that, I need to switch to the live report. Here is example of the one of the four. This is the solution for the business owner dashboard. On the bottom, you see the area is based on the example of Ukraine region. So let's go over the structure of the report. On the top layer, you see the main filters and two icons that we'll go over in a moment. But basically, the ability to change the year, the quarter, and switch between the revenue, cost, or profit. So the same, reusing the same dashboard, the same concept of the graphs and the data. But if I'll choose to see the cost versus revenue, just select, let it rethink, and because it's fighting over the internet, takes a little moment of a time. But if you have not noticed, the data readjusted in accordance to the data point selection for my interest. On the top of the main report area, you see the sales, profit, and profit margin, the main components that I'd like as the business owner. I'd like to see instantly to get a quick understanding of where my company at and where we're going. On the left-hand side, the cost, because it's selected, right, is given by region, customer, and warehouse, middle circles, forgot the vehicles, product, and cumulative year-by-year trends. The let's take a look at the regional map. Granted, right now you see the country and by regions. We need to understand that if your business is operating not on the geographical points, right? You may have, for instance, courier services in a city. And your areas of interest is dividing the area of the city in a certain fashion that doesn't necessarily correlate with the postcode. You can create your custom areas and to demonstrate which area perform better over another. For this particular map, by regions, the color of the region indicates the number of sales, right? The more solid color, the more sales for that particular region, and it's clickable and interactive. So simply by clicking on the region of interest, I can see the data for that particular selected region. I mentioned that if your area is not geographical area, a custom map can be created. For instance, in agri sector, we often see the maps of particular fields when the business owns, and then in their case, it will not be sales, but rather the amount of crop that field generated, right? What they sow, whether it's feed potato or the corn, and how the crops fluctuates over the years. The dashboard usually is represented in more visual terms because the idea of the dashboard to provide the bird view understanding of the financial health of the business instantly. So the graphs usually speaking more to that term. But if you choose to show the data in whether you like the tabs or you'd like to show to somebody who understands the tabs, there is the ability to switch visual graphs by simply clicking on the toggle of particular report. Granted, it needs to be built in a model initially, but when it's built, you'll be able to just in a simple click switch from the graph to the tab. There is a way to add the custom overview or the tooltips, right? For instance, in this example, simply by going over the particular tab, we can demonstrate mini reports that describes the data for particular bar in more details. And of course, drill through. I'll explain what happened for those who are just learning about the features of Power BI. If I'd like to see the details behind the particular number of sales in the region, I can drill through. With the right click, I'm going into the details, the number in tabular fashion, which collectively represent the number on the dashboard. So right, so I can technically go into this particular case, the example on the order level, right? So it can be drilled down to the lowest level of the transaction. That's the transaction level that was mentioned in the video that we showed in the very beginning. And of course, here on the top, we have the switches between the dates, cost, revenue, and profits. But sometimes, usually, business required more filters in order to slice and dice. The answer is you can add as many filters as you need for your business needs. You just to save the time, to save the space on the report, the filters will be stored in a separate filter panel, right? And in this particular case, there is more ability to drill down in a more detailed in the calendar, ability to slice and dice for the customer filter by customer type, gender, education, marital status, product brands filter, and the geo filter. And this is just to give you the example of the possibilities, how many filters you can drill down through. There is no limit to the number of filters you can add. Often question is being often asked. So this pretty much the excitement. I went over the card. switches. This pretty much it concludes the owner's dashboard. So let's take a look what's next. Financial control. In this case, the report for financial solution is grouped by two: finance and controlling. All reports, either finance or controlling, contain four subsets of particular reports. In this particular thing, the structure is slightly different. Switch between the reports is on the menu on the left-hand side. As you can see, it's receivable, payable, cash balance, and of course the main and favorite, cash flow. Again, in this particular case, we start with the tabulated presentation, and if you'd like to switch to the more visual representation, simply click on the switch and switch back and forth. The filters on the top allows you to pick any particular grouping, right, of the cash flow you'd like to see for your businesses. In this particular case, the example is a sample of the holding, hence the multiple organization. You can select one or another or all of them if you choose to, right? You can filter on the company level by group companies. They of course the filtering, and you can see the data grouped by your expense grouping. And usually we display in the currency on you're dealing with, and the universal currency, whether it's US dollar or the euro. The reason being, so you'll be able to track the performance and the progression separately from the changes in the currency rate. And for currency rate, currency calculation and translation, you can either use your internal currency rate if your company calculates and keep track over a period of time with your own currency, or if you're tied to the national bank, you can connect to any national bank open API for the currency date as historical and the current, and have the translation based on the open outside sources of the currency rate. I will not go in details on the particular of the report, because it's pretty much standard for this particular. It's cash balances, right? Outflow, inflow, closing balance, and end date. And quickly go over the controlling sides of the reports, so you get an idea of what you'll get out of the box and be able to use it. If you're in the market for the P&L analytics part by Power BI, you can implement this turnkey cash flow just by connecting to your data and have it next week up and running. This particular report is interested in terms of when you're looking for opportunity to either cut your losses, right, cut expenses, or reconsider where to put more marketing money, or you expanding into the new storage facility or in the new stores, right? You can take a look at which part of the expenses is contributed toward your sales the most or the least. Often used for analyzing to make a strategical decision for where your business is going. And I'd like to point it out that yes, strategy is very important in terms of looking at the current situation, right, in the world and in the market, and what's actually happening. But I'd like to highlight the feature of Power BI over the standard reporting, its ability to see the data in real time, right? Not to wait until report is compiled and delivered. If you remember dealing it with in Excel or any other old-fashioned terms. But this report will be up to date, up to the date of the data you have in the end in the source system, right? Power BI does connect to your system, and as fresh the data in the end source, that level of the readiness of the data will be provided and available for you instantly all the time. And as I said before, any filtering that you can do, you'll be able to do it yourself without need to asking to readjust the reports. I'd like to point a cool feature of drilled in, drilled out on the level of the representation of the report. Once it's finished, well, right now what I've done just by clicking on the arrow of grouping up, I've grouped up to the level of the year. And if I'll choose to like to expand that into the lower level granularity, I can do that. I can break it down to the quarter or even going further. And if select this quarter and click on it, I'll expand to the level of the months, and it can be done. Level of granularity is driven by you when you design the report, and it can be done to the in this particular case when we're talking about calendar, to the level of the day. When you're talking about the transaction, right, to the lowest transaction, you need to understand that the more data you pull in, the more optimization will need to be involved if you'd like to report display quickly on a huge amount of data, but it's all possible. And dealing with all these little tricks, that's where we're going over in details in our 2-hour class for the business users. When I said that we provide the education, I'd like to point it out that education contains of two flavors, two levels, right? We can teach your team of analytics, or you, if you are analytic, right? We can teach you creating these reports using the DAX formula. All about the Power BI in our 4-hour class. 40-hour class for analytics, where we learn to create the reports and dealing with the formulas, connecting to the data and cleaning the data and etc. But more importantly, or should I say as equal important, right, is the teaching the business users to use all the features of Power BI. If your end user don't know the possibilities of Power BI, chances they will not be able to use it to the fullest, right? And you will not be able to ask your analytics to create the report. You will not be able to create a task for them because you don't know that it's possible. If you don't know what the analytic can create for you, you will not be able to ask, and they won't be able to deliver. The end user class, it's just 2-hour class. And when you learn how to use the reports, how to use all these little neat features that Power BI provides, how to share it in the cloud, how to share it with the users, how to use it in the cloud, how to send emails from the report from your mobile phone, asking the question about particular number that you'd like to be explained. All that covered in 2-hour class using Power BI for business users. 2 hours for business users, 40 hours for analytics, inside out of Power BI report creation and DAX formulas. And this was just an example of what you learned in your end user class, how to use a report, how to drill in, how to apply the filter, how to create your own reports. That will be covered there. All right, moving on to our next topic, HR analytics. As I mentioned before, the reason we selected this for particular case, they are diverse, right? They are range different angles in the business. One of this particular angle, actually, that's why you spike interest. That's why you're here. The reports are different. All departments dealing with a different sets of data, and all departments are looking at the data, looking for different insights within the data. So the HR report dynamics important for HR specialist as well as the business owner or top name management. I'll explain in a moment. The structure of the dashboard on a screen. Filtering the years on the top, you can select to dive into each particular department to see the, just instead of HR, I wanted to select HR, for instance. You can see data per department or on the all level of the company, even if you select all. The total headcount, active employees, meaning that actively working, new joiners, somebody who coming in, exits, somebody who's coming out on your business, and accepted offer keeps number of tracks that you made an offer to join your company. They haven't got into the process of being your employee, but they considering joining in. And the satisfaction score, very important terms. If you keep in track of the in your annual review how your employees are satisfied working with you, the overall score on the company level, because we select all departments, are displayed here, and top centered report describes how that score 3 out of 5 is actually calculated, right? Here, for example, we just showing the scoring. Granted, depends on the granularity of the data you collect during your questionnaire, right? You'll be able to dive in and actually see not only the overall happy, not happy, but in particular, what exactly your people considering which area of the work experience they value more over another. Left top graph is the headcount details. Interesting graphic because it can show you the dynamics of the company. And if you go switch between years, you can see as this company was expanding over the period of time in the early years. As you see, joiners, people who joined the company, they proportionally were more than people are leaving. Granted, overall the dynamics may change, and if you change different department, you may see. How come I cannot do what I want in a simple click? You can see that your departments might demonstrate different dynamics in itself. Sometimes if one department over another demonstrates the significant difference, it could be in the business insight and to take a look at what's going on in the department. Maybe it's time to learn what the manager of department that doing much better than the other, what they know, and learn that secret and distribute the secret across the company. Sometimes there are good business insight looking at the data, not necessarily the negative. Although you need to keep track on both sides, right? You don't wanna let negative trends be overlooked for a long period of time on one hand, although all positive trends I also consider not to look for the good trends and see if you can expand that good experience across other teams across the entire company. Next up graph is attribution salary work versus work experience, and usually I dive into the departments and I can demonstrate you that not necessarily the smaller work experience contribute to the local lowest salary. Sometimes in IT, where I am coming from, in the new field, new industries, right? You may see that somebody working with a product just for 1 year makes much more salary compared to somebody who's in the field learning more. It comes with the new technology. If somebody learned the certificate of now Java is not a good example because it's been years. It's just something close to my to home. But wherever the new technology is out there, for instance, right now the AI, right, artificial intelligence, the capability with the Azure provided by Microsoft, it is hot. Therefore, but the technology is new. So 2 years ago there were nobody on the market because 2 or 3 years ago the technology didn't exist. Hence, whoever learned that over the past year and demonstrated the skills, right, they can learn much more salary over somebody who is doing the PHP or any other old-fashioned coding, because there is, unfortunately, to the people in IT, there is unfortunately disproportionately shift over the money distribution. All right, what's other interesting graph I'd like to go over is the leaf reason, right? You can easily visually, I'm talking about the graph right bottom corner, right? You can see where your people are living for, right? As you see here, it's the dynamics, an entire company, and I know for a fact that all departments are different. For instance, you can see that the IT people living for majority of leave reason is for a better opportunity. I think finance demonstrates, right, finance, for instance, in this particular case, again, this is the, your data will look obviously absolutely different, but that you'll be able to see the dynamics, right? You can see that in some department, the main reason for the leave is retirement. Therefore, they stayed with your company long enough, they've been loyal, so they see the value in your company. They're not jumping off the board to leave for the better opportunity as quick as, for instance, the people in IT. This overall very interesting graph. You can learn a lot about your company just about dynamics in your company, right? About the how people are staying, accepting the offers and leaving just by simply looking at this in very visual terms. Granted, this particular graph created in a tabular form would be a hard time to comprehend. As I said before, all this data, not necessarily, well, this all data, obviously, right, is the treasure for the HR specialist. Although even for the looking at the stats on this particular graph, the left bottom corner, hiring in vacant position. This is the correlation between the number of interviews conducted, right, versus offer sent and versus offer accepted, and combined with the data statistics, with the dynamics on when the interview were done and how often quickly the offer was sent, you can have a sense of the efficiency of your HR department. So this particular graph is basically the value the HR department provide to your company, right? You obviously you want the interview process go through the more interviews than the offers, right? If there is a correlation 1-to-1, unlikely you have the first candidate selected easily. Most likely, it means that somebody on HR don't do a great job by selecting the people, right? And although the swing to the opposite extreme also not necessarily good for the HR process. That's pretty much it on HR analytics. And to save the time, I'll go to my favorite is the marketing, because the marketing, according to the marketers, is the breadwinning department in your business, although the sales department may think differently. But regardless, if you'll be able to connect the data, and although I am joking, right, the marketers think their value versus sales, and they blame each other, those departments are always blame each other, ability to tie the data in between providing the cross-cutting analytics, right, to tie the marketing data to the sales data will show you the, as a business owner, or the clear picture, and no longer you will be able to tolerate just the promise of the market. Give us more budget, will create more traction. You'll be able to see which, and we'll dive in the details in a bit, which the field, which channel, which marketing channel, which marketer, if you have multiple, or sometimes this report is given for different marketing companies. If you hire marketing companies as outsiders, right? If you have ability to compare channels and compare their productivity just by hooking up the data of the results they provided, or the channel that is using provided, hook up to the Power BI reports. Basically, what you see in the front of you is the details on marketing campaign for the Facebook channel. All the main statistics crossing the top, right? Impression, how many times the report, the ad was distributed, seen, clicked, interacted, how much budget was spent for that particular campaign, right? And hence the cost per click, how much you spend for unique click. If we'll go on the center, on the left-hand corner side, the likes, comments, and reactions, more granular details on how the audience interact with your reports. And the graphs, the blue lines next to it, it's the dynamics of each particular interaction over the days. Sometimes marketers look at this report to analyze how your audience. You need to understand that your audience can be segmented, and each segment may react differently. They may react differently in a different day of week, in a different hour of a day. And analyzing this data, sometimes you can save, or the marketer can hugely leverage the marketing budget simply by adjusting and which day in morning, afternoon, or the weekend on Saturday, right? The certain campaign had run, and by campaign I mean the different message attracted by different clients, and segmenting the clients is the main important feature for when we're talking for the marketing that Power BI can provide. Looking at the time, I'll skip over the couple of next slides because they are very similar, only demonstrated different channels. I'll ask, unless you'd like to ask the question, please mute your mic. Thank you. There was a Facebook, there was YouTube, slightly different reactions that you expect from the YouTube ads, but the concept is very similar. This is example of your email distribution, right? If you use MailChimp, Constant Contact, or whatever the email distribution you're using, even so you send from CRM Dynamics, as long as you collect the data, you attach the data to individual links, and you collect the data, who opened, who clicked, which, on the left-hand side, you can see which particular link was clicked on your email, right? Sometimes, in addition to the link to your website or to the link of the landing page of the particular offer that you packaged into email, you add, as in this example, the links to the LinkedIn profile on the company, or the Facebook. All those links should be trackable, and if they are not, ask the marketer to stop sending the one link without the anchors to track this data. And again, you can segment per message, per particular offer that you send in using the emails. Client persona, again, that's the segmentation of your client. All the clients are not equal, right? The junior analyst for instance, in this example, will have different interest versus the senior analyst, and the business owner or finance department will purchase. In our case, this is an example of how often we know that finance CFO officers, they have different interests, they react to different messages, and they purchase different services from our company. You need to understand all your client segmentation in order to tweak your message for them, and more importantly, knowing what they purchase from you, because believe it or not, that average check in different segment is different. And as you see on the graph on the right hand side, where the light blue bar represent number of amount of money was brought into the company, and the dark blue line represent of number of sales to contribute to that salary amount. And as you see on the example on the second bar, right, the number of sales which are huge compared to the one here, not necessarily means that that the sum of will be equivalently large. But if you talk to the marketer, number of sales, there is a correlation of number of interest per click, hence per budget spent on the marketing. So this is correlation can be tracked and understood only if you have enough data to segment your clientele base and create the client personas. And I'd like to brag a little bit. This is the report we use to track the analytics on the success of the marketing campaign for today's webinar. And we have 2 dates. Prior to today, we ran the Russian-speaking webinar yesterday, and hence 2 different campaigns. The flags are clickable filters. You're looking at the, yes, it is the report, it is the dashboard for the webinar campaign. By clicking on the particular flag, I can select and drill into the details on the success of marketing campaign, the number of the subscriptions, right? You can see it here in the total. Let's go all countries. The graph on the right bottom represents number of visits to the landing page driven by our marketing team versus the number of subscriptions for one or the other particular campaign. Light blue is today's, dark blue is yesterday, March 31st. And most interesting graph, I guess, in my point of view, is this donut in the middle on the bottom. It's represent the distribution of the role that you've put in our questionnaire during the sign up, right? That represents who attended or showed the interest into this particular webinar. And as I see, if I'll go over, for instance, over the finance in custom pop-up, I can see how this finance actually is distributed, segmented in more drilled in the details. And going back to the report, this ability to expand the report to the fullest if you need to see the more clearly the data, because the numbers are rather small on the dashboard, is also one of those little tricks that you will learn during the 2 hours of the Power BI for business users. That concludes the marketing solution. Today I showed you the 4 very separate solutions. Finance dashboard for the top management, HR, and the marketing in both 2 flavors, right? Orpha solution is the turnkey available for you to purchase And if you purchase the turnkey solution, you'll get all you see on the screen. Visibility, if you choose later on to expand, you can always build in and expand. But turnkey solution as a separate to the as alternative to the full-blown project is ability to quickly start using the analytics. And I'll explain the process of the project if you choose to implement a custom solution for your business. The first and most important step is the data preparation, of course, right? And by of course, I mean the usually I haven't seen the business that have this only one source of the data. So your data are probably scattered over the multiple system, whether it's standard, homegrown, or even the data stored in Excel. Often you, as an example of the currency rate, you may connect to the outside open source of the data. All those data can be connected in this under this centralized data, right, with the usage of Power BI. Sometimes, if we're talking about the really huge enterprise, you need to create the intermediate data warehouse, either on your databases or using the Azure cloud services. But sometimes integrating the centralized warehouse is a necessary step. Necessary takes time, however, it will open your eyes on the data itself. Often our clients, just during this stage, before they actually get to the implementing the Power BI analytics, they learn about their data. They clearly see the problem in their data integration, about the data consistency. Sometimes they find the ability to improve their data processes simply by going through the exercise of the gathering the data for the business analytics and creating the warehouse. The cost of the warehouse step here on the screen. Usually it's warehouse, it starts from 17 grand, but usually we mean that without knowing your particular data needs, data situation, and amount of data, right, and the extent of which you'd like to start your business analytics. Because I'd like to point out that we recommend businesses may choose one or another, and there is in this particular case both approaches equally right. However, we recommend and we argue that starting the implementation of the data analytics with one department is more advisable. Granted, you need to understand that even though for one particular department, chances are if you choose to build a warehouse, you'll connect most of the data that required to expand in analytics across the company. Most of the data will be connected at once. Some additional may require, if you expand to the marketing, they may, granted, they will require the adding the Facebook cabinet, Google Analytics, and etc. But your core data, your core business data, will be gathered at once in this particular step. Once the step is completed, no need to, unless you have to add the additional resources. But usually it's enough to build any other report in the company based on existing the data warehouse, existing data model. Power BI training, I mentioned before, 40-hour class for analytics to become professional Power BI analytic, knowing Power BI, using the Power BI desktop, which is free to download, using the all functionality and features of Power BI in order to be able to create reports quickly, efficiently, and report that actually answers your business questions, and 2 hours for the business users. Again, so you understand your business users understand what Power BI can offer, how it's used, and ability to create the requirements for your analytics, knowing what to ask, what to expect. Cost of training. $50 for the end user, $800 for analytics. I need to point out that in order, if you choose to send your analytics to training, prior knowledge of Power BI, nor any prior knowledge of any computer languages or database structure are not required at all. Granted, if you're already using Power BI, we'll still be able to provide the value because the course contains from the very beginning an overstep, logically progressive, with a lot of hands-on practical exercises addressing all the features of Power BI and most of the intricacy of the DAX formulas. It's logical, it's completed, but it doesn't require your prior knowledge of any programming tools or SQL Server database. In fact, I usually say, if you know the SQL Server, it probably will be disservice because people tend to compare Power BI to anything else they know before. But sometimes even comparing to Excel, which is the grandparent of the Power BI, right? It's a disadvantage because Power BI has its own logic, has own features, has own way of dealing with creating the model and dealing with the data, slicing and dicing in order to provide the reports it provides. So any comparison to prior tool may slow down your process. Therefore, nothing is required in order to start. And in 4 hours, 4 hours we spread over 5 days of training. And at the end of the 5th day, you will become the professional analytic, able to create analytics support, maintain all existing reports, etc. Implementation stage includes creating the report at the top of the existing data from the prior steps. The reason you've seen the education prior to the report creation is because teaching your business users how to use Power BI in the future when it was created and understanding what Power BI features exist and how they're going to use their data does help for business user who is involved in a data preparation. Knowing how the data will be used in Power BI in future analytics helps to look at the data, existing data in a certain way, knowing which data to connect and how to integrate between each other, between different departments in order to create the complete picture. The turnkey solutions. The cost of turnkey solutions that I've demonstrated today are on the screen. If you have a particular interest in any of them, please let me know. If you'd like to ask, I don't want to advertise that there is a special pricing if you get 3 or more, but keep in mind that we have special offer for your license purchases. If you choose to add the licenses to your existing pool of licenses, that if you already have in use, and granted, if you don't have any Power Pro licenses and you plan to use the Power BI analytic implementing it in your company, you will have to use licenses in order to share reports in the cloud, share reports between the company between the employees. However, today's special offer, if you purchase the 2 licenses from us, you will get end user training. Do I read it right? We give it away for free. Please stop me if it's not true. Yes, you will get free business user training up for 20 people. So if you have a collection of people who've been interested in the training, 20 people, up to 20 people from your company, free Power BI training for end users with the purchases, 20 licenses or more. Please reach out to Ksenia or email. I'll show it on the screen how to contact us if you're interested in this offer. Power BI licenses. If you're using Power BI, you know what you need it for. However, for those who are just considering, you need to understand the licensing structure of Microsoft. The on the very bottom, the largest scale, right, is considered as the Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop, it's not the test version of Power BI Pro. It's not the short version. It's nothing short. It's complete tool of developing the Power BI reports. It's complete, doesn't require anything else in order to start using it. It's free to download from Microsoft site. Be mindful that Microsoft on a monthly basis update the tool with a new feature. So make sure that you've downloaded the latest one. And if you downloaded it a while ago, please upgrade, because I will warn you, in addition to the much better and new functionality that enrolled on a monthly basis, right? At some point, be mindful if your analytics using the old desktop version, at some point your report may stop working in the cloud. So that you should be aware of. But the Power BI desktop as itself is standalone, absolutely free developing tool, which allow you feature that you use it with the desktop is connecting to data, any data source or collection of, creating the data model, meaning to say that create the connection, right, the links between the separate tables within the data model to create the hierarchy of your data, and then based on the business model, you create visualization using that business model, the data existing in that business model, and all that you create with the free desktop. Where the Power BI license kick in is once that business model is created, in order for you to share that business model with the rest of the team, right? And by share, I mean that anybody else can use it, but you, or in order, if your top user is your analytical department and they created visualization for you as a business owner to use, you need to put it in a shared place, right, which is Microsoft Cloud. And the ability to share the report in a cloud and connect to the cloud to use the report, right? Whether you're throwing out there or consuming something existing in the cloud, that's where you need a license. The license per user, and that's in fact your license to use cloud space to share, keep, and download the reports. Here's the breakdown for the licenses. Again, desktop is free. License Pro, $10 a month per user. Report Premium started from 5,000. Report Premium, it's the local cloud, right, in quotes, meaning to say that if you'd like to have the reports shared within your organization without going outside of the perimeter, without leaving your servers, without going to the public cloud, you can create your own enterprise cloud, and that license starts from 5,000 a month per enterprise. However, early this year, Microsoft actually enroll the long-awaited news. They've been teasing us starting the end of the last year. They gave the premium capability on a per user basis, meaning to say that for those companies who are not ready for some reason to invest $5,000 in their local cloud, they can use the same functionality of the premium on only just per user basis, right? Paying for individual user who used that functionality just $20 a month. And this is the long-awaited exciting news. Please consider one or the another. I'm not sure about your business case. If you reach out and we'll sit down over phone conversation, we may discuss your goal, your approach, your strategy, your vision, where you're going over the period of time, and where you'd like to start. We'll be able to consult you on licenses, in particular for your business case, on educated cases, but this is pretty much what you have to consider going forward. Sounds like we're going toward the end of the webinar. This is a list of our clients. If you don't see your logo here, I would love to add your company as our client to this list. We are international company. We've been international company in the sense of we've had international clients for a while. Starting last year, we grew our partnership and representative space into the multiple countries. So now, if for your convenience, you may consider reaching out one of our local clients if they geographically located closer to you. I'm, for instance, here in the U.S. Office with headquarters in New Jersey, in addition to being a technical officer of the BIGB. Hence, if you're ever in New York, give me a call. We'll stop by over a cup of coffee. But right now, I'll open to the Q&A session. I appreciate your joining us today. I appreciate your interest in the Power BI in itself. I appreciate you giving the chance of our company. I hope that either of the solution that I displayed to you, you strongly consider to implement it in your business. Please reach out and we'll discuss the details. And right now, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Yesterday, we've been asked. While I'm trying to get to the chat, see if we. Yesterday, we've been asked whether we can connect to the CRM. Yes. CRM connection. I didn't cover the connectivity to the data. It's usually going into details in a different webinar, but connecting to the multiple data sources, we have a saying: if the data is digitalized, if it exists in digital terms, Power BI can easily connect to it. Power BI itself provides the more than 100 connectors to the data sources. It's native connectors, meaning to say that I can teach you in a class and you or your analytics will be able to connect to the data source in a matter of clicks. If the connector does not exist, long-term custom connector can be created. But usually there is no need. There are ways and procedures to connect to the data sources if the native connector does not exist. It can be extension, it can be download, it can be warehouse, intermediate warehouse is the solution. But yes, we can connect to the CRM one way or another. Some CRMs are more easy to connect than existing. And I'm scrolling through the questionnaire list. Unless I missed it, please. Please type plus if you're still with us, plus if you like what you saw, exclamation point if you more excited about the capabilities of Power BI than after the webinar than before you started. If you have a question right now, type, I'll try to answer. If not, the email on the screen, I hope you copied. We will be sending this presentation to you for your consideration, and if you come up with any questions going over it and later on, or maybe when you share it with your colleagues, employee or upper management, and they have a question, please reach out to us. We're happy to answer it personally. We're inviting you to any new upcoming webinars. We have not sure whether we have a finalized schedule that we can share with you, but we have plans to having the similar webinars covering different topics. It's the common sense will be Power BI, the tools, the solutions, the business cases that been used Power BI to solve are different. We have our common plan. We will plan to dive into the marketing usage of the analytics. So you're welcome to go to those webinars. And since there is no more question, at this I'll conclude my today's session. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy to answer your questions. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next webinar. Thank you so much. Take care.